Hello everyone, this is Crypto BitLaw, here with another blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to discuss quantum computing and blockchain governance. But before we dive in, please, if you like this content, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And with that said, let's jump right on in. Alright, so as some of you may know, the World Economic Forum just took place in Davos, and it's just about to wrap up. And it prompted me to actually watch some of the speeches that were given. And earlier today, I was watching Klaus Schwab and the Chancellor of Germany talk about globalization and all these other things. And I mean, some of the things that they talk about at this forum are just kind of creepy, but other things kind of caught my attention, like this article that was put out from the World Economic Forum on blockchains with respect to quantum computing and the effects that quantum computers could have on blockchains and blockchain governance. So I thought it was some pretty interesting takes to see what the party of Davos is really focusing their attention on. So let's dive into this and see what it's all about. As we can see here, this article entitled, "What Does the Dawn of Quantum Computing Mean for Blockchain?" It's by the World Economic Forum. In the wrong hands, quantum computing could be used to hijack billions of dollars worth of cryptocurrencies. Quantum computing could upend existing assumptions about the security of the blockchain. In the wrong hands, sophisticated attackers could seize crypto directly from a wallet, or even as they are traded from one wallet to another. While the technology is not yet ready for this, we must prepare now to mitigate the threats of the future. But before I go any further, I think I've touched on this issue before, quantum computers as it relates to the blockchain. And I've discussed this with people in person, and they would, one time this other lawyer, he was telling me how he wouldn't invest into Bitcoin or crypto because of the threats that quantum computers posed to the security of the blockchain. And my response to that was always, not a matter of if, but when it gets to the point where quantum computers pose a direct threat to the security of a blockchain, namely Bitcoin, there will be developments in quantum hashing algorithms such that you would have these new algorithms shored up by quantum computers that would be implemented in order to secure the blockchain. And so it would be implemented in the form of a fork, just a network upgrade where all of the miners would agree, hey, this is the new protocol we're running. Instead of SHA-256, we're going to have this quantum algorithm that we're going to hash, and then that's going to shore up the blockchain. But enough about me. Let's continue on with this article. They say quantum computing has reached an inflection point. Venture capitalists are pouring funding into the technology, and public initiatives are picking up pace as they explore the role it could play in our society. As it develops, quantum computing will push existing areas of technology into uncharted territory, and perhaps none more so than blockchain. Itself a relatively new innovation, blockchain technology allows for parties to perform peer-to-peer transactions in a system not governed by a central authority. Instead of trusting a central authority, blockchain provides a trust framework that is enabled by the properties of cryptographic algorithms. As long as these algorithms are considered secure, activities that do not abide by the rules, such as illegitimate cryptocurrency transactions, are discarded, incentivizing actors to behave honestly. It's also known as the solution to the Byzantine generals problem. For those of you that are curious, you could just kind of Google Byzantine generals Bitcoin and learn more about it. They are assumed to be secure against powerful supercomputers, now and for the foreseeable future. But as quantum computers evolve, this assumption is in danger of being upended, potentially exposing hundreds of billions of dollars worth of cryptocurrencies to sophisticated cybercriminals. Despite quantum computing being in a relatively early stage of development, specialists are already forecasting the potential of quantum-equipped actors to steal vast quantities of cryptocurrencies by abusing the advantage that quantum computing can provide. New technology and new algorithms could, in the near to medium term, subvert established digital security practices using two key types of attack: the storage attack and the transit attack. The storage attack. In the so-called storage attack, An adversary would target vulnerable addresses, those in which the wallet's public key is held on the blockchain, to steal funds. A recent study found that 25% of all Bitcoins in circulation and 65% of Ether, the tokens in the Ethereum network, reside in addresses with a published public key. This means that they could be stolen by a quantum computer with sufficient resources. Hundreds of billions of dollars worth of cryptocurrencies could be vulnerable to storage attacks. The computing power needed to carry out these assaults is estimated at around 10 million qubits, a unit of measurement best understood as the equivalent to a regular bit used in standard computing. That is significantly more than the 100 or so qubits we currently have available. However, scientists have predicted that quantum computers could reach the 10 million mark within 10 or 15 years. Protecting from these attacks requires fund owners to avoid vulnerable addresses or move their funds out of them into addresses where the public key is not published. Perhaps easier said than done. The transit attack. In a transit attack, a malicious actor with large-scale quantum computing capabilities could try to hijack a blockchain transaction in transit and redirect the funds to their own addresses. The scope of this attack is larger as it applies to all transactions. However, performing it is more difficult, as it must be completed before the transaction is processed by the miners. Under normal conditions, this leaves a window of just 10 seconds for Ethereum and a few minutes for Bitcoin. To perform such an intensive attack could take billions of qubits, so the risk of transit attack is less than that of storage attacks, but worth consideration nonetheless. And mitigating transit attacks is not simple. It requires transitioning the blockchain's underlying cryptographic signing algorithm to one that is resistant to a quantum attack. That's what we were touching on earlier. Mitigating quantum computing threats. Considering these challenges, a dilemma surfaces. Should investments be made in limited changes to blockchain protocols to mitigate the storage attack, buying time to see whether a transit attack is even practically possible? This approach would require less serious intervention, but perhaps leave wallets vulnerable in the long run. Or should we move straight to new cryptographic algorithms, a much more significant change with many unknowns? These questions lay bare the complexity of the governance structure of public blockchains. Due to the decentralized nature, blockchain implementations require a broad consensus to apply change to the protocol. With so many unknowns about the development of quantum computers, and the significant effort required to mitigate the various levels of this threat, the extensive debates required could hamper timely action. If we want the quantum revolution to not be overshadowed by such security challenges, it is important to take timely action to mitigate the risks. All right, so, points of note. I think it's interesting to see that this topic, which, for me at least, kind of seems so obscure and, on the fringes of, technology, law, governance, blockchain, is front and center to some of the, most important, most powerful people in the global, political, financial, just socioeconomic sectors that go to this World Economic Forum. These are some of the most powerful players in the world, and this issue is front and center before these people. And so I just think that speaks to the level of importance of how important the party of Davos really considers this issue, and how important they view cryptocurrency to this changing world order. And they mentioned one of the mitigation techniques was that you could evolve the algorithm such that it would be quantum resistant. But on the flip side, it requires a development of the hardware and a more widespread availability of hardware that could process those quantum resistant algorithms. And so you'd need to have availability and decentralization of that quantum capable hardware. And so it goes hand in hand. The issues, they're tandem, the software and the hardware issue. Now, I really do agree with the author of this with respect to the storage attack. And I think it would behoove all parties to not have their keys be hosted publicly, and to have their keys to their wallets privately, ideally on some sort of cold storage device. And so at least with that, you could eliminate the threat vector. I don't know how this would affect something like a Gnosis safe wallet, where I know it acts as like a form of multi-sig, where you hold a key and then there's another one that's based in the smart contract. I don't know if the algorithms could get sophisticated enough where you could figure out what the missing part of the key pair would be just by having access to one. I'm not a cryptographer. I'm not a cypherpunk. You know, I like technology, but I am not to the level of some of the brilliant minds that are really truly developing and pushing this space along. But I do think that it's worthwhile to consider these threats and to be aware of them and to plan accordingly. And so it's one of those things, it's that old adage, you know, knowing's half the battle. Well, now that you know, and even though this might be, you know, 5-10 years out, I mean, that's going to be here before you know it. And so it behooves anyone that's serious about security to take the time now and make sure that they are shoring themselves up and mitigating against these possible attack vectors, especially the storage attack. And I think by the time that it's possible that there is the hardware capability to launch a transit attack, I really truly believe that you know, the blockchain communities will bring forth proposals in order to implement quantum-resistant algorithms as part of the core consensus network, right? And so, just an interesting thought. You know, it's still I really thought it was interesting to see this issue being front and center at the World Economic Forum in Davos. It's just makes me think how far we've come. But I guess to that end, I hope you guys enjoyed this content and got something from it. I know I did. Certainly learned something new today. But if you like the content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And we'll keep making more interesting, informative videos for you guys. And with that said, thanks again for watching. And we'll see you all in the next video.